All right, before we get started, there's a lot going on in the world. We acknowledge that. And also, for those of you who want to support the Minnesota community, there are a lot of resources to do so. And with that being said, we are going to get started with week 4 of What Did Prince Do This Week?
I was about to say, what kind of show we about to do?
You should know it's week 4. We playing 4. All right. So let's talk to our peoples because I almost got that last time. We got Boombox Guru first in the chat. We got Cassandra Bradley and AT Alien. We got Andre Staley. What up, though? Stay safe and inside during this polar weather we are having.
Yeah.
All right. And we got Drea Dances coming to you from the Langham Hotel in downtown Chicago, celebrating my double nickels.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Drea. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing, celebrating you.
You up in the hotel, huh? Okay, downtown Chicago.
That's
hey,
right.
grown folks' business. Go ahead.
Right. And we got Karan.
And she logged and she's still watching. That's what's well, we appreciate that we can be a part of your birthday celebration. So that's awesome. Because
Yes.
I know if it was my birthday and I was in the hotel, we were working it like a job.
Okay. We got Rick Belden from Denver. Oh, Karan's cooking collard greens and sweet potato cornbread. Invite me over.
Yeah, so can I get a place?
Yeah. We got Scott Woods in the house. Stay safe this weekend. And oh yeah, it definitely feels like #1 in Jersey. And we got Christian in the house. Sorry I missed last week. I was in France, visiting France for a party. Look at our people.
Okay. Visiting France for a party.
Yeah, that must be nice. Thank you, Jamal. Hit the like button on the way in, as Ricky would say. Good people, thank you so much. We're just gonna put this up there. Yes. All right. Sending love and light in Minneapolis.
Yeah, they got bigger fish to fry at the moment.
Yeah, so much so. Yes. And we got Garland. Much respect to my favorite podcast. Look, thank you, Garland. That's so nice of you. Sometimes it snows in Texas. Good Lord. Safe out there. That's right. And
Bodine.
Yes. We got Anna B in the chat. It's cold now, but it's always warm inside with the purple Yoda, as Ricky would say. And we got House of Theo. Welcome, Theo. We got April Watson. We got Stone Freak. Welcome. It's so great to have you here in person. We got Sister Charles from H-Town. We got Ron Kayla. And we got Tanja all through the night. I watched the Glam Slam show again, and it's so incredible. I can't make that because I'm not a rapper. And we got RTL 49. Yes. Freezing in Chi-Town. We got Lisa Williams. Love this. Hope y'all are maintaining your peace. That's what we got to do. Lisa, thank you for a reminder. We got K Cool Music. Oh, let's see what Theo's been up to. Been slowly introducing my best friend Ruby to Prince's music this past week through a little Prince starter pack playlist that I created for her. She really loves Soft and Wet. You got to fill us in on your starter pack playlist. Love to hear.
And I like that because I'm actually putting together a similar themed video of something just like that, like certain and starter pack. That's a good way to say it. But like, you know, a way to digest Prince, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're starting out or even if you're not starting out, but just listening to these albums this way, it sounds very interesting versus this way. But shout out to Theo.
Shout out Theo. I will tell you, Michael Dean. So, you know, when I'm planning these symposia, I try to get in that particular era. So right now, and also, you know, with What Did Prince Do This Week, we're all about parade. We're all about Under the Cherry Moon. But I was walking down the street this week and something triggered All the Critics Love You in New York. And it was like Prince is saying, don't forget about my 19. I'm like, so there's these different This is like 1999 Prince like fell out of the sky this week, and it was like I had never heard that song ever in my life. It
Mm,
was like the most amazing thing ever, and I was like, "Oh my god, 1999
yeah,
Prince is amazing!" I can't forget you, 1999 Prince, because
no.
I've been like in parade world, so it's interesting when that happens.
Speaking of that, I thought you were going to say that you were out and about and you heard all the critics playing somewhere. That would have been like,
Oh no, I didn't. I just it was in a playlist I had made for myself, or I clicked on the wrong button on my phone or something, and it
mm,
just started playing. And I kid you not, I felt like I had never heard the song before. It was like it was
yeah,
brand spanking new, even though I've heard it a gazillion times, and it put a pep in my step. And I was like, oh my God, Prince
gotta
is
love it. Yeah,
amazing. He's so
yeah.
amazing. And that's the
It,
reason why.
it creeps up on you in the weirdest ways sometimes. I was at Target the other day getting some birthday card and what was playing 1999. I was just like, man, it's just a part of regular everyday world. It's crazy. But anyway,
It is crazy. We got Chip and Sparrow live. Thank you for being here. In Japan, we got Lori Johnson. We got our timekeeper, Kim. We got Chris Bourdonnais. And yes, prayers for
what's
Minneapolis indeed. And we got 71. And we got Christina, also from Minneapolis. We got D68A. Bless all in Minneapolis. Yes.
mm,
And we got Debarra 7. We got LTKK. Oh, thank you. It's time for the
LT?
of the week again. Thank you so much for that. We got Blade Brown. We got Brian from Australia. We got Blue Misty. Haven't seen you in a while. Hello, Purple Peoples.
Mm,
So happy to have you here. Yes. Oh no. Yeah, that's pray for our people in Minneapolis and Minnesota. It's a lot going on. We got Chuck here. We got
what
Raywood.
up, Chuck?
We got Mila, my heart. We got Jesse.
Hey,
Afternoon.
what's up? Yeah, what's going on?
And let's see. Okay. Is it happy birthday to Arms of Orion? We're going to get Arms of Orion happy birthday.
Oh, where's Ted? That's activated Ted. I know he's probably watching. Oh, let me jump on here.
Speaking of birthdays, actually today is Brenda Bennett's birthday, and earlier this week
Oh,
was Susan Moonsy's birthday. They always have birthdays
wow.
back to back to back. Yes, and we got Spencer here. We got Heavenly Gaines. I want to make sure I said hello to her. We got JD Washington.
JD.
All right, so Theo said I created 10. She's heard the hits in the early days so far. The Revolution playlist is next. So you have them thematic. Okay.
Okay.
I like that. All right. We got Gabrielle. And also, we got to definitely wish Eric Lees a happy birthday, which was on January 19th. He's also a Capricorn, and Kim says now it all makes sense. And yes. And let's see. And then Lee Christian saying, I was introducing my pianist friend to the Love Sexy piano medley in the 84 rehearsal at Sunset Sound. And she was really way more into it and impressed than I expected, as she is a classical person. That's amazing.
Love that. That's dope to give somebody the Love Sexy piano medley as something like, and you could give that to them and like, some of these songs, but you haven't heard him play it. He plays piano and is this good? Like,
yes.
That's awesome.
Indeed. All right, so let's try to get through. I love this activated talks. Let's get started. This is week 4 of 1986, and this is a very slow read of Duane Tudahl's Prince Studio Sessions book series, as well as a Saturday salon echoing the Harlem Renaissance, and we're going week to week, not date to date. And our schedule this week is going to be Sunday, January 19th through Wednesday, January 22nd. And you do not need the paperback version, but this is the one that has the most updated information. Or you can have the OG, like MD. I'm working on my ribbon. Okay. Yes.
Brick edition.
All right. Did Rhonda Smith also have a birthday yesterday? We want to know. We don't know. I'm really bad.
I glanced at that and I thought it said baby. I was like, thank you for reading that out loud. I was like,
Oh my God.
one, I was like, why you care? But yeah, okay.
Oh, so Blake Brown is informing you, Ted, that Arms of Orion turns 37 tomorrow, according to Prince Vault.
Wow.
Pancake brunch at the Sea of Tranquility. All are invited.
Love it. Love it. Pancake brunch.
Yes, indeed. And we got Purple Cat Confetti joining us. All right.
Did they ever sell Prince pancakes?
He should have. They would have sold like
I'm
Purple
surprised the estate has not. I would not be surprised if that's the next email blast that comes out and it's like, a symbol shaped waffle thing or something. 1999.
Can't do waffles though. Got to be all about the pancake.
Yeah, pancake. Yeah, like, you can give out one free with every celebration. we did 1 million. Yeah, sorry.
Oh my goodness. Okay. These are archived on YouTube at Polished Solid as well as M. Dean. Let me hide the show comments just for a hot second so you can see. And then, as Ricky would say, as you come on in, hit that like button. We so appreciate it. And subscribe to make sure that you get the notifications and all of that jazz. And if you want to reach out to us, our email is WDPDTW for What Did Prince Do This Week? And our hashtag is also the same. And the estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. This is an independent endeavor. And our community guidelines are we choose to be a community even when we disagree. I don't know if the Reverend is going to grace our presence today. We gonna see. We
Is there
don't
a game or something.
Yeah, I don't. I'm so sports illiterate. Are sports going on out in the world?
Oh, if there's a game going on, see,
Yes. All right. Let's see. Oh, right. D68A said posted the how we pronounce that 1990 gig last week. The first time he played Arms of Orion live. Wow. All right. There you go. That's a birthday gift for Arms of Orion. That's amazing. Thank you so much, D68A. I definitely have to listen to that to see if my love for it changes. Okay, so we started off the hour with 4 because it's week 4. And again, for those of you who don't know, Madhouse is Eric Leeds on sax and Prince on everything else. The drums, the bass, everything else. And it was a little snippet of Vanity at the beginning from the track Vibrator. That was it's actually reused twice on this on 8 because it's also on 7 and it's also on Orgasm from the album Come. All right.
It's a very interesting mindset to pull something like that for so many songs.
Michael.
It's just interesting.
I think it's interesting too. I've commented on this before because here's the deal. Prince could have gotten so many other moans from other ladies, but he chose to use this specific moan. So I would love if I could interview Prince. One of the top 5 questions would be, why?
You saying he had a catalog of them or something to choose from?
No, he didn't. That's the thing. It's just like he chose to use this one over and over and over and over again when he could have recorded some other ones.
It's definitely a theme and a choice. As it even think of the movie Purple Rain, that's such an interesting scene where the girl's moaning. Supposedly it's backwards.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what was he like? What was the theme of all of that? I guess he was just a guy that was a lover, heavy into love. He liked to listen to it.
And he was young too at this time.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure I would have been listen.
And so Bodhisattva. I've heard this too that Prince reused Vanity on Come to help her with her medical expenses.
Hilarious. Okay.
Yeah. So
I
that
heard that one.
I have heard that. I haven't found the actual receipts for that, but that keeps coming up whenever I talk about Oh, oh, stop the presses. Someone like conjured up the Reverend.
Whoa, don't say conjured. Like, we're not doing the conjuring thing.
How are you today, Mr. C. Lee McGinnis?
Well, you know, since I'm from the home of the blues, we are the hoochie coochie man. So, you know, we got that. As Muddy Water said, we got that high John the Conqueror. So, you know, I understand what you mean by it. You know, we control the elixir with the music. That's all I say. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I love this comment from Gabrielle. Gabrielle's daughter went crazy for Madhouse this week, and she's 34. That's what I'm talking about, Gabrielle. Spreading the Madhouse love and knowledge. That's what we want. And
love it.
Yes, this is pretty funny. D68A says that Fairlife Library must have been stocked with
right.
Yeah,
that's what I want them to release. Those files.
And I love this comment from Jesse C. Lee, fresh in the blue and the paisley. That's what I'm talking
I think
about.
I take that blue.
There you go. My Versace of Avenucci.
Right.
Man, I think I like that blue. Yes.
But it's in black and white. Well, they'll get it.
Yes. All right. Eureka saying, loving your shirt, C. Lee.
Appreciate you.
All right. Okay, so we just played 4. 4 is absolutely amazing. As you know, Prince, well, some of you may not know. So Prince actually performed 4 live a lot. It would usually follow the Ballad of Dorothy Parker. So this must have been a special tune for Prince because out of all the Madhouse tunes, this is the one that he played the most live. And in fact, if you look at Prince Vault, he actually played it on the last show 2, at the Fox on April 14, 2016. So this is a really, really important song in my personal opinion. So, and again, Vanity, but also, as we know, Vanity passed away in February of 2016, and Prince spoke about her during the Piano on the Mic, performances. So someone, I think it was Tanja, posted like, Vanity was on the brain for sure.
Hey, speaking of Vanity, did you ever get the answer? You had a Vanity question and I saw it, but I forget. I actually couldn't get to it because I'm not on social media. Remember when you had the picture with Vanity was in the parade area?
Yes.
Okay.
I never got an answer. So
she was going to Prince's, I want to say, a birthday party.
Oh, so she was going to a birthday party.
Yeah.
So in that case, then that means that he sent it to her.
Yeah, because they were there together. They had the same suit on, different colors, but it's the exact same suit on, different. Because somebody posted it and I saw it and I saw the thing, but I couldn't get to it because I'm not on social media. But I was able to see the text. So what I was able to figure, they was like, yeah, she was headed to a Prince birthday party.
And there's a picture of them together.
No, they're getting out of cars separately.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody else is saying that she went to go see an LA parade show.
Maybe, okay, so maybe that's what it was. It was a parade show. Okay, not a birthday party, but they were going to the same place because they were getting out the car together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that may have been it, the parade show. There we go.
And for those of you who don't know, what the heck are we talking about? So there's this picture of Vanity that's in a parade outfit. And it's like a yellow, orange gold kind of color. And, like Vanity left before parade. So what is Vanity doing in a parade outfit? That's what I want to know. But yeah. So.
I know what she's doing.
And that is interesting because I was trying to come up with another word because spin the block is such a bad term. But we often think about people who were with Prince weren't anymore with Prince, but that wasn't always the case, right? It was so, it seems that then that split was a little bit more amicable than we may have thought. And that, that meant that she was someone that he felt enough of a year or so later to say, hey, come check out my show. And so I think that's what really makes that pick so important is it kind of shifts the whole notion of once Prince was done with his past, he was also done with the people in his past, which wasn't always true. As we know, we would see former bandmates who would show up and do some things here and there. That's it. I'll say.
Yeah, and you know, I think too, Prince was a man, and you know, men and women have relationships all the time. Just because we don't see what they doing besides the, you know, the show, that don't mean they not friends. I don't mean they still be talking on the phone. Yo, come on over to the spot. Da da da. Whoop de whoop. Grown folks business. Whoop whoop. So we don't know what, you know. Just like anybody else out there's watching this, I'm sure you know people from your past that you still, you know, interact with. They don't nobody know about. It's normal human behavior.
Right.
No, I get that, but showing up in a parade outfit is a little different. That's just me.
I mean, for the outsiders it is, but we don't know their relationship.
Yeah.
Like, they may have always been getting down, it just wasn't in the public.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna go. This is episode number 156, week 4 of 1986, and this week we have 4 studio sessions and no new songs because, as you can see, there's a lot of editing and mixing. And instead of going through this day by day, we're going to read about it anyway. So we're going to get started. I'll get this party started with Sunday, January 19th.
Let's get this party rocking.
Hilarious.
I used to love that. It's so funny to me. Especially because she comes down in her birthday suit. All right. So, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to make sure everybody can see all of us. Okay. I don't want to be the highlight. Kiss extended version edits, overdubs, and mix all day, all night. Edits, overdubs, and mix all day, all night. Instrumental mix, probable mix. Roadhouse Garden, possible overdubs mix. I really want that instrumental version of all day, all night. Mountains, and listen. Sunset Sound Studio 3, 11 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. 11 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Susan Rogers, and Coke Johnson. I'm going to read about this since we don't have a lot this week. Those were some crazy times. This is Coke Johnson, but Prince was always a purist. You couldn't get caught with cocaine and pot or anything around him, or you were off the tour or off the gig. He was all about his health. He would drink that Evian water and he would eat some Doritos, the famous Amos cookies, and we'd have all that stuff stocked in there. Then he'd go to a fancy restaurant and eat healthy food. But then he always had a universal gym set up in one of those isolation booths. And again, that's Coke Johnson. Prince liked his junk food, but worked hard to hide it. He ate like a little kid at the time when I was with him, recalls Susan Rogers. He had a sweet tooth. He lived on Doritos and cake. And we know he liked Doritos because, you know, they show up in Purple Rain. That's one of my favorite scenes in Purple Rain when he's on the bed in the basement. Back then, there were sugar cubes, those little half-inch squares, remembers Coke Johnson? And he would have his coffee with, if he said 1 sugar, he just wanted a cup of coffee. But if he said 2 sugars, you knew you were in for it. You're going to be there for hours because he was such a curious. Sugar would give him an energy buzz off that and the caffeine. The day started early with Prince requesting a tape copy of something he recorded previously, possibly from yesterday's session. So from 11 a.m., Johnson was back in the studio and spent 2 hours dubbing cassettes for him, which was something that happened periodically, according to Johnson. A lot of the time, that was because he didn't have a copy of it anymore. A lot of cassettes get lost or get stolen. This was back before we had CDs. He would remember a song, but then he would want to hear it so that he could hear parts he wanted to add or take away or redo in his head. It is likely that one of the songs that was dubbed to cassette was a long version of Mountains for consideration as an upcoming release. Once the dubbing was complete, Prince arrived ready to work. Studio 3 was his own self-contained world, and once Prince discovered it, he set up camp there. Susan Rogers remembers how well that studio fit Prince's needs. It's a perfectly designed studio for music making. So when you walk in that main entrance and you don't see daylight, you don't know if it's day or night. You are in your own space where your needs can be met. You've got your own bathroom, you got your own lounge, you got your own refrigerator, and you've got this space for recording that is not too big and not too small. And the best thing about it, like any great studio should be, is it is not too sterile. and it is not too funky. You know, you feel like you're in a musical womb where music can grow and be incubated. In my opinion, it's certainly my favorite studio in the world. I compare them all to Sunset. That is a bold statement from Susan Rogers. So Sunset Sound is the one from 1:30 in the afternoon until 9 p.m. Prince continued editing the extended version of Kiss. From 1:30 in the afternoon until 9 p.m. He was working on, he was working on Kiss. Although it's likely that he also created the single edit of the track for release, he also worked C. Lee on a mix of An Honest Man that would be used in the movie. After 9 p.m., Prince decided to take Roadhouse Garden, which was originally recorded in 1984, off the shelf for some editing and overdubbing. A stripped down version of All Day, All Night was created. I want to hear that. Probably for consideration for Joe Jones. Finally, the extended version of Mountains was reviewed, but it is unclear if Prince added anything to the track on this date. During the final 2.5 hours of mixing, 4 C90 cassettes were made of the day's work, and the session ended at 4:30 in the morning. 4:30. Status. The single for Kiss, 3 minutes and 46 seconds, has a slightly alternate ending from the album version, 3 minutes and 38 seconds. I want those 8 seconds. With the 8 seconds are in a fade out. I hate it. Fade outs. Hate it. It is likely that Prince was unavailable during the next week because he appears to not have attended any recording sessions until January 28th or 29th. In his absence, Eric Leeds continued working in the studio on the Flesh Project.
One thing, easy product tie-in is Purple Rain Doritos.
Yeah.
Purple Doritos.
And we should mention those were the original flavor Doritos, right? Those are what we all have now. Like if you like me, you fell in love with those. I think I saw Kim in the chat. We all fell in love with them original. Don't get me wrong. I like the Cool Ranch and I like the others, but those were the original Doritos. 2 quick things, a question and then a thing. And I know we talked about this over the years, back and forth, but I was just thinking about when we talk about things get lost. So we talked about having had the Black Album in real time. Like I had the Black Album before Love Sexy came out. I know a lot of folks had the Black Album, and as they say, we treated the Black Album like it was the release, some of us, and Love Sexy like it was the bootleg. I've always thought about if you start 89 and then go forward, we had a lot of stuff. Like I know, like by 89, my bootleg studio stuff, we had a lot of stuff. And my question is, how do y'all think we got so much stuff? Like, because you talk about stuff got lost, stuff. Yeah, did y'all? I guess was anybody like me, like happy to have this, but was kind of like, how we getting all this? And I just always wondered, was it a leak? Was he just not caring? Was it just because people got tapes and tapes were being made, but at some point somebody had to be passing stuff to other stuff, and somebody was then passing stuff to fans. So I just always wondered why we had, as Prince fans, for better for worse, I always thought we were really lucky that by 87, but let's say 88, 89, 90, we had a lot of stuff that feels like was original stuff and stuff we forget. Like there's stuff that we have to be reminded, like, no, that never came out. We just had 89. Right. And see if y'all had any thoughts about that.
Well, I mean, in real time, I didn't think about where it came from. I was just grateful that
right.
I could get it. That, to be honest, now, over the years, especially, like I guess in my late teens, early 20s, I would hear how he was leaving cassettes in his car. And, like if he got his car detailed, the people detailing his car could have gotten, because things travel, and then another thing I heard is he used to throw cassettes out the window, like when he was finished. And if I was living in Minneapolis, I would be like, what he throw out this week? I mean, like how people would be looking for cans. I don't know if you guys remember, but down south, picking up cans on the side of the road was
yeah.
So I would have been like on the side of the road looking for these Prince cassettes.
Is that what y'all was doing?
Let me help Brother D because he had that country look. You
like, I missed that part. I don't.
I was looking sometimes with me and Prop Duff be talking, but he had to look like y'all country as hell. What is this? He had to look like, what is this country shit today? So yes, but hey, Brother D, 2 things you did in the South. You collected. You literally walked around town. And collected cans. You collected old cans. And Prop Duff, I'm gonna see really how old you are. Remember the bottles we could return to?
Oh yeah,
I remember bottle returning. I just the whole part walking around town.
You would walk around. You could pick up cans, bottles, and then later became paper. But yeah, you could get a nice little change picking up them cans and them bottles and taking it to the drop. All right, I'll tell you. Go ahead, y'all keep talking.
So D68A says that. You know, there are a few routes to stuff getting out there. P let some stuff out, but I never said that. You know, some people, you know, like that's also a theory too, that he was leaking stuff. Like I said, I don't care. I'm just happy that it was especially leaked in real time. You know, it's different, you know, like, you know, it's hard to explain. Like in the 80s, when you were trading cassette tapes, it was like trading, like mining for gold. I can't explain how incredible that was to receive like all this bootleg stuff. And for me, it wasn't even about the unreleased songs. I wanted the live shows.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. So because I was a teen. I had no money to be traveling around the country like some people were. So I got the cassettes and I could listen to the shows.
And that got me to another point. By 89, 90, there were at least 3 or 4 go-to people for the live CDs. We're not gonna call their name because we don't know what the statute of limitations is. But by 89, 90, you began to recognize certain people's names on the CDs, and you know, okay, they kind of. I'll just mention one thing: Goldmine Magazine. I'm gonna just say that. I'll just mention Goldmine Magazine, and looking in the back of Goldmine Magazine. Go ahead, brother, and I said it because I got another thing I want to ask y'all.
I'm like D'Angelo. I didn't think about it at all back then. I just wanted to hear the music so bad. Every unreleased song was just a jewel. Like matter of fact, I remember getting Royal Jewels or something was maybe one of the first.
Yes.
I got. Well, I will say this though, and it's conflicting. So I love bootlegs. Like, well, let me say that I love his music. Let me put it that way. I love Prince's music. I don't love bootlegs, but unfortunately, is a necessary sort of evil to get the thing that I love so much. I one hand, I look at it from a fan's perspective, and I know it's all for the best intentions. Because we just want to hear it so bad. It's almost like crack, right? Like you're a crackhead, you get some free crack. You want this crack, or they're trying to. But the thing is,
and there was no internet.
Right. So, and then, but the other part of it is, I guess, the part that I always conflicted with is I always, where the money going though? Like somebody had to switch. Is money changing hands to get this stuff one way or the other? It may not be from me paying somebody to buy it, but I'm pretty sure, and it's not Prince is not the first. There's a whole network of piracy and bootleg that is, a big business, and they don't give a damn about Prince. They just know there's a demand for this. Let's package it up. We can package it this way. We can charge an arm and a leg. We're gonna get our money. The money comes through, but I'm pretty certain that money don't go back to Prince or back to the people who made it. And how it gets out there is probably everything we just said. More than likely, how it happens though is somebody that's connected somehow. Hey man, I got a tape of such and such. How much you willing to spend to get this from me? Whoop, whoop, but again, where the money goes. So that's just where I'm at. But I love Prince's music, so I'm gonna listen to it. I try not to pay for them. So if I find them online or we trading or something, but there's a give and take to that. Looking how he seem to respond to it. As a fan, I want to believe he put those out. I want to believe that. That makes me feel okay.
Right.
But I'm sure he was probably hot, about that to some degree. He seemed like a person who loves to have control. So I would imagine a guy who loves to have control, you just think he don't care about the one thing that his whole life is about. I don't know. That's a little funny. So I love his music. I'll put it to you that way. I didn't think about it at the time. I do think about it now. But I also understand. Oh, you used to sweep up the room where Prince was at, and somebody left the tape, and somebody said they're gonna give you $5,000 for that tape. They probably, hey man, or whatever, or they stole something. I mean, a lot of it is stolen. I remember working. Well, I used to be in the duplication business, and trust me, you'd be amazed at the stuff that people will come at you to ask for you to, can you replicate these? And my excitement at first, oh man, and then you realize, are you actually connected with such and such?
Right.
Because it would seem odd, but they would just want to put this out, in contradiction to what's going. But I realize it's a whole big business behind that.
Yep.
That we as the fans just don't see, but trust and believe it's a lot of money they're not putting them bootlegs out because they like Prince or whatever, putting it out because they getting bag. So that's my take on it.
Three quick things. Put up the DE68A about Controversy Mag.
Oh, the Controversy Mag, right here.
So yes, and I want to say rest in peace to Edwina Brunel. Edwina Brunel was the American regional rep, and she had a tape lending library. Her street name or her code name was Blue, right? From Get Blue, was Blue. And when y'all go to the next one, because I just gave my grandson all my stuff, I may try to run down and show y'all all of the cassettes that I got from the tape lending library. And for those who don't know how the tape lending library would work, you would send a blank tape, and then the person would copy whatever it was on their list and then send it back to you. And that's kind of how the tape lending library worked. And it really helped a lot of people's thank you, DE68. Yes. Lean and Edwina Brunel. Those just great people over at Controversy Man. The second thing was that one of the most popular, we talked about the bootleg, one of the most popular What's Happening shows was about the bootlegging of the Doobie Brothers concert. I don't know how many of y'all remember that What's Happening show, but that got me too, because I think it was Brother Brunet had a question, I think, or somebody else who talked. Yes, Brother Brunet, like I said, going back to that Goldman magazine, and I will mention one other because I don't think this person is doing. There was a place out in New York called Living After Midnight Videos, and I think that's named after like either a Judas Priest album or a Judas Priest song. Y'all can correct me, but it was Living After Midnight Videos. Man, that's when I learned back in like 88, 89, bootleg for every, like you would see Kiss, you would see like rock shows were
Springsteen,
like
Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead, and Grateful Dead was the one group that embraced bootlegging openly. The Grateful Dead would allow their fans to come and record their shows. So they're like, they were the one group that bootlegging for them was just par for the course of being a Grateful Dead. You saw a lot of Parliament, Funkadelic. So it was, anybody that was big that you saw as a legacy artist or big in the late 80s, man, bootlegging was a big, even Kiss had a big bootleg follow.
Specifically, it was their live shows. It wasn't a studio.
Yeah, the live shows. Yeah. Thank you for that correction.
Big difference.
Their live shows. Yeah.
And I think it's really important, actually, Michael, that you make that distinction, because there are two kinds of bootlegs. There are the live recordings and the studio recordings. And when it came to tape trading, at least in the 80s, and at least with the people I was dealing with, it was actually all about the live shows. It wasn't about tape trading, studio. And for the studio tracks, you usually had to buy those bootlegs, you know, and actually if I bought mine from record stores, you know, because there
Mhm.
was, you know, like if you went to the Prince section, there would be Royal Jewels, Charade, you know, all sorts of stuff, you know,
Right.
and I mean, in real time, I mean, I'm sure I knew that this was a bootleg, but the way that it was presented, if you didn't know what was going on, you would just assume it's another Prince release, you know, because it was
Mhm.
literally in the record stores.
Yeah.
So
You think about the live, you know, the live bootleg thing. Now imagine you were a comedian, right? And just like a singer, you know, for the most part, your performance is everything. The jokes are exclusive to that moment, right? The responses are part of what makes the jokes work. So imagine if there was maybe there was a bootleg world for comedians or other sort of performing arts, and they never get asked if they want to be a part of that. And you look at how the artists respond to that today, and I imagine some of that is due to they don't want the phones held up. But you know, you got artists now that don't even allow you to pull your phone out at a show because they don't want you to record it or distract from what they're doing. So I was always wondering, you know, as much as you know, I love live recordings again, I love live recordings. I don't necessarily love the bootlegs, but uh I still ask the question. It's an interesting question to ask though, just as us as fans, like as much as we even love the live stuff, you know, it's always being in that moment. So you can imagine like being a performer and somebody taking your moment and just putting it out and you don't even get a say in it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just I think that whole thing says a lot about us just as a society where we can rationalize certain things that don't necessarily affect us in a negative way. But I don't know, sometimes we don't consider the person that created or did the thing that we like. We don't even consider their opinion on it, you know?
Right.
I think that spills into a lot of things aside from stuff like this.
I would say 2 points to that. If people have paid attention, especially when you talk about comedy, if you notice on YouTube, what has happened in comedy to kind of subvert that. 20 years ago, crowd work was kind of the lower end of the comedy spectrum, right? The crowd work, you weren't really seen as a craftsman because you weren't seen as a writer. Comedy was all about your penmanship, your writing game. As a way for comics to circumvent having their shows bootleg and to kind of keep their jokes fresh. Because the thing about comedy is that you can hear a song over and over. That's not a problem. But what makes a joke work is the surprise element of the punchline. So once you've heard the joke once, you don't really, you know, unless it's a classic, you know, Eddie Murphy, Raw Deal, something like that.
Right.
Once you've heard the joke once. So what you will see a lot on YouTube is comics are now posting their crowd work to kind of get ahead of it so that they're not posting their jokes, if that makes sense. But it's funny to see that flip because 20 years ago, crowd work really wasn't like the comics themselves didn't respect crowd work. They would say that's a person who couldn't write. But because everybody has a phone now crowd work has become the thing that the comics do to get around that. It was one other thing I wanted to mention, but I'll set up. Hopefully it'll come back to me because it was. So I'll set up. But I definitely wanted to talk about that. The whole point is, like you say, reacting to it and how people have to navigate it in a way so it doesn't hurt their bottom line. That's it. I'll set up.
Yeah, there's definitely I'm sorry, just real quick. There's certainly an audience. There's a strong audience for live performance that no matter what it is, and particularly in music, if you're a great live performer, your fans are definitely gonna want to hear that. That's like the bread and butter of it, right? Most of us love the live stuff even more so than the studio. So there is a super demand for it. I guess the question is, one, does the performer or the estate or whoever, do they understand that? And do they want to service that? And if they choose not to, does the consumer care either way? Like they're going to get it regardless. Like that's just the society that we're in. it doesn't matter. We're gonna get it regardless. But I guess the thing is, I would hope that they see hey, there's a demand for this. We'll gladly pay you for this. We love this. And that's just some of the questions I ask. What do we say when they say they don't want to participate in that? We don't care.
Yeah, and we have to also. I don't know if the word accept is I want to use, so y'all can give me a better word. I think that one of the negatives, and I'm not saying I would say that one of the negatives of file sharing, right? Go all the way back to file sharing. I think one of the negatives is I think we are 2 generations in. And after 2 generations in, we have cultivated a generation of people who don't think they should pay for music. And I'm not going to put that all on bootlegs. I would put that on much as file sharing as I will with bootlegs. But I think that one of the things that I think hurts the music industry, and I'm someone who would pay, is that people just don't want to pay for music. I think that streaming and everything that's happening now, people are not just interested in paying for music the way we were when we were teenagers, the way we would save our money and take our lunch money or go cut yards, or whatever we had to do. I think that file sharing and streaming has put it out there. So coming to your point about people not even thinking about bootlegs and thinking about what you get on YouTube anymore, I think that, and I don't know if the horse is out of the barn and can't be put back in, but I think that, and I think that has some kind of way, I think that has a negative value on the art when you have a generation of people who don't think that music is something for which they should pay. That music is now kind of the marketing tool that sells something else. Where it used to be you would have the thing to sell the music. I think now music has become a marketing thing, kind of like you have people who write books to sell their person, right? They write books now. It's not about the book. The book sells them as whatever special life, like they're a life coach or something like that. They're not really a literary person. So I think that's just interesting. All right, I'll shut up.
So I want to say several things. And also, I think there's a really great question in the chat. The first thing that I want to say is that I've spent a lot of money on Prince in my lifetime. And if I would have saved that money, I would probably be a millionaire by now. And I'm not joking. And so like for me, because I would buy duplicates, sometimes I would buy triplicates, sometimes I would buy albums for my friends, just so that they could, hear it. And so for me, bootlegging was more about if Prince would have released them in real time, I would have bought it directly from Prince.
Right.
So it wasn't about not trying to, because at the end of the day, I've said this before, you guys have heard me say this at least a couple of times. I'm gonna go full screen. I did not want Prince to ever, 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 ever become Eddie Kane.
Right.
In order for Prince to be Prince, I knew that I had to support anything he was putting out. So did I wait to hear what an album sounded like? No. I was there on the first day buying the record because I always wanted Prince to be Prince. I didn't want him to be worried about anything. Okay.
Look at me, Brother Dean. Do I look like I got a phone number?
Wow.
Yeah. I agree.
Hilarious. I can't even imagine Prince going out like that.
I mean, there are a lot of people. I mean, Prince is on another level now. I'm not comparing him to anybody else, but stuff happens, right? So one thing that you have to be aware of, D68 posted this. Also, in addition to the record stores, you would go to record fairs, and record fairs would happen in hotels, and there would be hundreds of, record stores or record vendors that would have a lot of bootlegs as well. So you would be finding them at these record fairs. And then like Kim said, they would be in the import section, and like Stone Freak said, because I went to Wax and Facts in Atlanta, they would have them in the quote unquote foreign section. And right here, I have my my original charade, and I don't know if you can see it, but it says Fantasyland, which is a record store in Atlanta, and I paid $12 in real time. That was a lot of money. That was actually 2.5 lunches for me that I didn't eat. And so actually maybe 3 lunches because of the tax and all of that, because tax is high in Georgia. So
everybody was eating off of that except for
And I think it's also, it needs to be said that that were these networks and there was these things, but there was also some kind of pretty shady places we had to go to get these bootlegs. Like some of us buying bootlegs was almost like either getting that crack or that weed in the alley somewhere. So I mean, not y'all have to remember this was before bootleg, before internet.
Hey,
so you weren't always going to, let's just say, the most pristine of places to get something. And let's talk about a lot of something else we don't talk about. You had to learn via mail, trial and error, who you could trust via the mail. Because not everybody in the back of gold mine and not everybody who was advertising was above board. Now, I would admit, I was one of them people that I would say that the vast majority of people I did mail business with was cool. But I got burned by 1 or 2 people, and you just learn. And thank goodness what the community would do would put out, hey, don't mess with such and such. They're known for burning people. But I mean, I think all of that goes into talking about that experience that we had that kind of, again, I don't know if it's good or bad, but that's
which is a funny, isn't it sort of ironic that we worried about getting taken, but we ain't worried about the
guy taking. That's it. Exactly.
It's a dirty game.
Exactly. Well, look at, we was all thieves in the temple.
We were all thieves. All right, so Colin has a really good question. What era of Prince music got bootleg the most, do you think?
I mean, if it was based off of what I was getting, it would have to be, 86, 85, 80, 87 and all that. But I don't know if there might be other stuff. There was more of it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the studio tracks come from the earlier eras versus getting into the 90s. Well, 90s was a lot of Prince bootlegs in the 90s. I guess the 2000s, I don't think you saw as much studio stuff leak out as you used to, but the live stuff definitely was strong.
I would say that I couldn't, like you, brother. I couldn't say era, but I would say that live bootlegs, and it was happy for me because I became much more of a live person than a studio person. Like I wanted the live. Let me be clear, I wasn't turning down studio stuff. Let me be clear, but you asked me what I'm going to look for, and so as time went on, there was always an abundance of live material, and I was always happy for that. And I will say, and I think I said it when we were doing, you remember we did the whole summer of the Sign of the Times box set, and we did, I don't know how many weekends straight. 5 weekends straight. I'm gonna tell you how strong the bootlegs were. Act 2, I was getting Act 2 damn near in real time. Like I got 3 Act 2 shows, live shows on VHS, nonetheless, like before the summer was out. So I would say that I don't know about era, but I would say that live music became the thing that probably, as time went on, was the strongest thing. I'll say that.
So
what was if we're just on it real quick? Is there like the 1 or 2 bootlegs that you always just hold dear to you? Like those are the ones that if you can remember.
Oh, for me, it was the Warfield Theater show.
What year was this one?
It was the Love Sexy tour. And actually, Arthur went to that show. I am really jealous. I'm not a jealous person, but I am so jealous of Arthur because of all of the bootleg live shows. For me, Warfield was the one. And obviously the Black Album. I mean, everybody, we're like, some of us might be kind of used to the Black Album, but in real time, the Black Album was hot in the fish grease. I mean, it was on fire.
Yeah. I would say, like you, because it was my first, the Black Album. Like I didn't know what a bootleg was. I didn't know like this cassette just showed up and people had it and it was in pretty good condition. So I'll say the Black Album. I'll say this, and this is not even like my favorite. It's not my least favorite, but it's not even like my favorite tour. But I will say when you talk about bootlegs, I would say the one that just kind of blew me away, and I've said this before, that damn bootleg of the Boston Hit and Run Parade show. It was just something about that Boston show. That show just seemed like on another level, and I don't know why. And I, and I'd had other, I'd had Purple Rain boots, and I would say the Boston bootleg and the Controversy Houston show. I would say those two. So the just to hear them say "Merry Christmas, Houston," and it ends with "Let's Work and Jack You Off." So yeah, I would say the Controversy Houston show and the '86 Boston show, just because those two shows kind of, and I had seen, and by the time I got that bootleg, because I went to the Controversy show, so I had seen the Controversy tour, but having that show, so I would say those two were just like, I would go back and just listen to just how great those shows were. I'll shut up.
I would add, go ahead.
I love this comment from Blade Brown, 1999 tour, Long Beach, 83. Sound is horrible, but you're right in the middle of the crowd's excitement for all three acts. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Quickly, my favorites was, I think it was that Royal Jewels.
Yeah.
Did it have Weekend Funk and Data Bank on it? Or, I can't remember.
Oh, don't make me.
But whatever that, if that was what it was, it was this young lady. She gave this to me, and it was the first time I ever heard any kind of unreleased, and it was just a cassette tape. And man, I played that effed me up, like, because I had heard the bootleg of the Black Album and I had hated it, so I didn't listen to it. So I didn't have any other. When I heard
quality or the song,
a lot of it was the quality of it, and just like any Prince, when it first come out, it takes me a second. Like, what are you doing? But when I heard,
I'm sorry, and yes, too, Weekend Funk and Data Bank on Royal Jewels.
Okay, yes. So that lineup, I was okay. This something's wrong here, because how does this exist? The other one is I bought the For You on Valium.
Yes.
But I had bought the vinyl. It was at this one record store that was far away, and I heard they had some Prince stuff, so I drove out there, and man, it was so expensive. I swear it was like $60, which was unheard of at that time, but I just didn't know what it was. And it was some Prince I just had to buy. I remember buying it, taking it home and dropping a needle on it. And when I heard his voice come on, I was like, what the fuck is this? And then when they get to Strange Relationships,
yes,
over, absolutely over. And then the last one was the first time it was Gold Mine. I sent out for some VHS tapes. And dude sent me back the Love Sexy concert, the video, the show, and I hadn't seen it since I had seen the show in person. And I just remember I got that tape in the mail, went over to my homeboy's house, said, "Yo, man, we got to watch this tonight. I got that." I'm like, "What?" And we fired that up, bitch. Blown away, man. We was just like, "Nigga."
Okay.
So those are the three for me.
Okay, so not to belabor the point, two quick things.
I only had two. I need to say my third one, but go ahead, Celie.
Okay, so you made me think about something. The first time I put in the CD and I heard Prince say, "Show of hands, how many of you are drunk?" Oh, you mean you actually gonna hear what we say tonight? You're not gonna make up the notes in your mind? And he goes in the DMSR. Oh, there you go. Oh, when he did
nasty,
that was like I got up by myself. I got up pimping around my room like, ain't nobody tell me shit. Ain't nobody. I turned into George Jefferson. I said, ain't nobody.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear nothing. But man,
man.
So yeah, that go ahead, Prop, because I forgot the second thing I was going to say. I want to hope I remember. But yeah, you made me think about Yeah,
All
go
right.
ahead.
So the third one would be, and someone put it in the chat, Bodhisattva Small Club, also known as Trojan Horse.
Yes.
When I heard that instrumental jam at the beginning and I knew it was Sheila, it was over. It was over. Absolutely love that. All right. Did you remember?
I go ahead. If it come back to me, I can't remember. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, maybe it'll come back to you as you are reading. So can you read Monday, January 20th, 1986?
Yes, Monday, January 20th, 1986. Wait a minute. Let me stop tripping. I ain't going to even be tripping no more. Let me go ahead on and Monday, January 20th, 1986, Mobile, edit mix, Kiss extended version, edit mix, Sunset Sound Studio 3, 4 p.m. to 12 midnight, booked, locked out. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Coke Johnson. This is Alan Lee's. The Flesh stuff was really hot, and I think the Madhouse idea grew from that. In the quote, Prince was unable to attend the session, so Eric and Coke continued working on elements for the Flesh album with edits on Mobile and likely other tracks that were being considered. The extended version of Kiss was also given 3 hours of editing. By midnight, everything had been mixed, and a single C60 cassette was created for Prince. That's it.
All right, Michael, do you want to do Tuesday? Why?
All right. Tuesday, January 21st, 1986, Kiss extended version, edit, mix, mobile, edit, mix, Groove, likely Paisley Jam, edit, mix, Sunset Sound Studio 3, 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. Damn. Booked, lockout, producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Coke Johnson. Work continued on the Kiss 12-inch as well as mobile and part of the Paisley Jam. A single C60 cassette was created to give to Prince because he appears to not have attended this 14-hour session. Man.
Okay.
Oh, is it just the engineer calling the shots, I guess, or is he just? I guess so.
I guess so. I mean, that's So when I reread this morning, and I read Duane's comment about Prince wasn't in the studio until January 28th or 29th next week, I misinterpret that because it seems like it's this week, not next week. And so it seems like he wasn't in the studio on Monday. He's not in the studio on Tuesday. So I have to go back and redo the numbers just so that everybody knows. I will read Wednesday, January 22nd, 1986, The Flesh album Assembled. Can you imagine if The Flesh would have been released in real time?
Yeah. It was.
Oh my God. So many coulda, woulda, shoulda. Flesh album Assembled, conversation, could be a conversation piece, edit mix, Kiss, extended version, likely review, Love or Money, edit mix, Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. Booked, locked out. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Coke Johnson. This is the Eric Leeds quote. I had a ball. I can't believe Eric Lee said he had a ball working on that stuff. I gave him a sequence album that was going to be called The Flesh. Now I know it was not going to be released. It was just for us, but I think he was just curious at that point to just see what I'd end up doing with it. That's a really interesting comment, but we'll talk about that later. With the release of Kiss approaching, Prince had decided on Love or Money as a B-side and had an additional mix done of it for review. The track was recorded the previous summer and had been sitting on the shelf. Can you imagine Love or Money just sitting out, hanging on the shelf?
We got grooves. Deep Purple Concord jams, you know?
Oh my God. Waiting for a Home. Love or Money was never meant to be included on the album, explains Eric. It was only meant to be a B-side. You know, like thinking about this. So we talked about how, for me, Love or Money is sort of the whole point of Under the Cherry Moon. And to think about that this was sitting on the shelf for a year is really interesting to think about. But, you know, maybe that's what led to the script. I don't know. It's really, really interesting. Okay, during the session, Eric likely edited conversation piece from 7 minutes and 41 seconds to 3 minutes and 16 seconds. We need this conversation piece because I don't think it's out there floating in the sky. Before completing his assembly of the Flesh album, and 4 C60 cassettes, including one for Prince, were created. According to Eric, the lineup for this collection included Side A, Junk Music, 20 minutes and 25 seconds. Side B, I love me some You Gotta Shake Something. Oh my God. 15 minutes and 23 seconds. Up From Below, 4 minutes and 57. Conversation Piece, 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Y'all Want Some More, 1 minute and 36 seconds. Eric explains, since I was sequencing for vinyl, side A would have been an edit of Junk Music. I'm pretty sure the side B led off with You Gotta Shake Something. That's a really great lead of a side B, Eric. The second track on side B would have been Up From Below, which was actually part of the unedited Junk Music. There were several tempo shifts through the full jam, so I isolated, did a quick fade in, and presented it as a standalone piece. Track 3 was Conversation Piece. I'm not sure if it really fit with everything else, so if I were doing it today, I probably wouldn't have included it. The last track on side B was definitely Y'all Want Some More, which was also a segment lifted from the full Junk Music Jam and served as a reprise of the opening theme of Junk Music. Now, if I were sequencing for a CD, I would start with Shake Something, then go to Junk Music, Up From Below, and finish with Y'all Want Some More. I love the specificity from Mr. Eric Leeds. In the end, it would eventually be another Prince idea that he had to get out of his head and onto tape, an experiment that would be used to expand his palette, but not one that went any further than 30 seconds of Junk Music and Under the Cherry Moon in the scene where Christopher Tracy races against Mary Sharon on the horse racetrack.
Maybe the car's weak. They see you coming.
And if ever there's a record day release that just screaming out to be done, this right here, just put it on vinyl, straight for the fans. Easy sellout. This would be it.
Yeah.
The Flesh.
Yes, The Flesh. And so in the accompanying playlist that's at the bottom, D68A has like the entire Flesh sessions. Like if you want to hear it, you can hear it through D68A. So thank you so much for that. And then Garland has his, I love this question, Garland. Seeley, was Prince better on bass or lead guitar? That brother was cold on the bass.
So let me say that's a question for Brother Dean and for Prof. Duff. And here's why that's a question for them. And I'm gonna answer it in a roundabout way. I'm one of the people, I don't have a favorite Prince musician or favorite Prince band, because I think that Prince's real genius was finding the musicians who could execute the sound that he had in his head. So the revolution did what the revolution was supposed to do. The counter-revolution did what the counter-revolution was supposed to do. The band with no name did what the band with no name was supposed to do. And NPG and all of the different adaptations of the NPG, Third Girl Eye, they all did what they were supposed to do.
Third Eye Girl?
There you go. So for me, So for me, I love Prince's sound and tone on all of the things that he plays. So I like his tone. Like we can tell when Prince is playing versus Sheila playing versus when John is playing. Same with the bass. So I never thought about it as, was he a better bass player than a better guitar player? I just love what he brought. What I will say is that what I've always said was, and y'all can correct me and people in the chat can correct me, Prince seemed to be one of the very few people who was as great as a rhythm or pocket player as he was as a solo player. There are a lot of solo players, and I'll give you an example. And there's a fun, and I need to find it and send it to y'all too. B.B. King did a song with U2, and they were gonna play it live. And they got to a part of the vamp, and Bono and Ed said to B.B. King, "Well, Mr. King, you can do it was a vamp part to your solo." And B.B. King says, "Gentlemen, I don't vamp, I do this." And he played the solo, right? Which to me wasn't a knock or anything. It was just B.B. was saying, "Hey, I don't do rhythm, I do." And so for me, the thing I think about is Prince was one of the few players who was as great doing pocket and rhythm stuff as he was doing solo stuff. And I think about that as opposed to which particular instrument I like best. I hope that kind of answers the question a little bit. I'll shut up.
I will say though, in real time. And I just listened to the I've been listening to the Grown Folks Music podcast, just to be honest, to hear Ricky's voice. And I listened to the very first one we did this week, and it was for Parade. And I think it was during the Parade one, or maybe it was in the Madhouse one of the first Madhouse one. And I literally said, I wish that Prince would release a bass album. Now, he released bass albums through the time. Like, if you really want to hear Prince playing some bass, listen to The Time. Also, if you really want to hear Prince playing bass, listen to Madhouse. Like Madhouse 8 and 16 have phenomenal bass playing, bass solos, and all of that. But in terms of Prince's own recordings that were put out as Prince, by the time you get to probably Purple Rain is when I started really missing the bass playing, because like if you listen to Controversy, that bass is there. If you listen to 1999, it's less there, but it's still there. And I think that was probably one of the reasons why I, in real time, like when I was a little teenager, was like, what is going on with this Purple Rain album? Because I was missing the bass, because I'm very bass oriented. For me, it's about the drum and the bass than it is about anything. So when that clip of Prince playing bass during the Batman, like he's sitting at like
don't.
I was like, why doesn't he do a bass album? So like I had been waiting for that bass album, and I kid you not, and I feel really bad saying this. When he announced the Piano on the Mic tour, I was like, when are you gonna give me my Prince on bass tour? Because like he was a guitar, on the side for why am I blanking on her name? Tamar. Yeah. So we got, Prince, the side guitarist. And I was like, when are we gonna have like Prince, the bass player? Because I thought his bass playing was phenomenal. And, hearing when we interviewed Andre, and after interviewing Andre, and this comment that he made, he said that Prince would just attack his instruments, like, so he would attack that bass, like breaking strings and things of that nature. Like, Prince's bass playing is phenomenal, and people don't talk about it enough. So I'm not going to say whether he's a better guitarist or bass player. All I'm going to say, though, is that his bass playing is underrated. His guitar playing is underrated. I mean, so it's just, his drumming is underrated. I mean, Prince is underrated as a musician, just because a lot of what I call I used to call them the Purple Rain people, but a lot of the masses, they get sort of mesmerized by Prince the entertainer, Prince the pop star, Prince the provocateur, and they don't really pay attention to Prince the vocalist, like those stacked vocals on "Do You Lie?" Like, who does that? I mean, just like that lushness is, and so I don't know. So I could go on and on. This is very passionate for me. If you don't understand, Prince's bass playing, amazing. So sometimes, I've said this before, when I listen to Prince music, or anybody's music for that matter, I will listen to an album and just concentrate on one instrument. That's the reason why, Celia, it took me so long to get to the lyrics, because let me just, listen to the guitar this week. Right. Let me, actually for the month, because I would go on loops. Then let me just listen to the bass. Let me just listen to the guitar, to the keys. Then sometimes let me just listen to the hi-hat. So I just get sucked into those like musical elements. Let's listen to the background vocals. Let's try to drown out there's just so many, you could just listen to it. So one of the things I get really frustrated with, or at least my students, is this idea of one and done. If you listen to something one time, or you've heard like 30 seconds of it, it's over. Like, you don't need to listen to it again. It's about listening to it over and over and over again. And in fact, when it comes to new music, I really do. Yes, the bar. That's what I'm talking about. The cowbell.
Yeah, cowbell. I need more cowbell.
Yes, exactly. You get it. And so I try to tell my students, it's like, if you're going to listen to a new song that you haven't heard, you got to listen to it at least 3 times in a row, if preferable. You can't just like listen to, oh, I don't like it. Now, I have listened to Arms of Orion more than 3 times in a row, just everybody know. But, there is a point where you stop listening, but it's really important to do that due diligence at first. And I'll stop. All right.
Well, I'm answer him. I think in terms of Prince bass playing, I like his bass playing because when he plays the bass, he only seems to only play it funky. Like he doesn't really like. It's rare that he just sort of plays it straight. Prince plays the bass almost like he playing the guitar, but he always is thumping. Like I mean, there's some ridiculous Prince songs that have bass in it, from the funk stuff, even from the pop side of it. But if you really listen to his bass playing, he whatever he's a disciple of, it's ridiculous. You can see live performances of him playing. One of the ones that are a newer one to me is the one that was on the Welcome to America Blu-ray, and when he pulls the bass out during the encore, that is ridiculous. Like that's the Prince that I know. I'm like, okay, that's the real. It's just always funky. I don't care who other bass player be in the band at the time. When he strap up, whatever they're doing, he just destroys it. Like, there's if you ever look up Prince, it was a rehearsal footage from like '94. They're at a TV studio and they're just running through the songs with the band.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. And like the first part, Prince isn't even there, but when Prince comes to the studio, walks in with Maite, the first thing he does is strap up on the bass to acknowledge me. And that is some of the most funkiest. I mean, he got Sonny T already there, who is a killer on bass.
Right.
And Sonny can play it all and kills it. But I just think when Prince, he's always popping. So he don't do nothing else but to be, just like when C. was saying, couldn't nobody tell me. Every time he plays the bass, that's how he plays it. It's a reaction. That's the reaction. So I just think his bass playing is ridiculous. Like she said, when you listen to the Time records and you really listen to them records, his bass playing is nasty. And the fact that you realize he's playing everything but the drums. So imagine him playing the bass and then going back to play the keys and then going back to play the guitar. So I would say his bass playing, I just love it because it's funky as hell. His guitar work and the rhythm guitar Prince, to me, that's Prince. Like I fell in love. I mean, that was what he was known for in my mind. Like if he didn't have the chicken scratch in it, I didn't really want to hear. I thought he was bullshitting on the other records. Like, man, why don't he just dang that? Oh, that song is cool, but if you just add a little, it'd be over. And to me, that was the Prince sound in my mind for many years. Like when Kiss came out, and I was like, okay, but then when that 12-inch dropped, and he just said, bucket, I'm gonna go ahead and put the chicken scratch because that's an easy cheat, and that's cheat code. It's over. So when to me, like a Prince cheat code back then was just chicken scratch it out. You can't deny and it's because of his feel, the way he plays the guitar. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's the greatest guitar player of all time because I don't know enough about all the other players to say that. I've only really listened to Prince, but I will say I think he has one of the best feel on the instrument more than any other guitarist. Like maybe Eddie Van Halen and them can do some other little stuff, but they can't pull it up and then turn into a blues jam. They can't go and just get on a funk groove and just and then drop the beat and just let him groove and vibe. Or little stuff that he does at the beginning of the songs where he's just bullshitting, and it'd be the most funkiest guitar riffs you ever heard. And then he'd be like, okay, let's get into this. All right, on the one. And then they go into the song. So to me, his feel on that guitar is unlike anybody else. To me, like the Jessies and all them, the Mikos, to me, they are the disciples of that Prince chicken scratch feel, and then they took it to another level. But to me, like, I don't know, they just go hand in hand. He's a blue rhythm and blues, or for real rhythm and blues funk dude at its core. And I think all of those songs have that in. Like, he could play all those songs he's got. He could just funk them out on guitar and bass and drum, and they'd be phenomenal. Like, you'd be like, man, you don't really need all the other stuff. But the fact that he can do all the other stuff is amazing. So to answer the question, I would probably slightly say the bass, only just because anytime he touches the bass, it just jumps out at me, and I can't deny it. And I expect him to be good on the guitar.
Right.
And I'm always surprised when I hear his bass work. I'm like, God damn. I'm like, D'Angelo, I'm like, he could just be a cold ass bass player if he really wanted to. And I'm going to set out a year and just play the bass, like, for real, and dominate it. Like, I would have loved to see, last thing I'll say, I would have loved to hear Prince, Larry Graham, and Bootsy. Like, if they just did one thing together, like, just, that would have been so cold, and let them take turns. Wow. And then Bootsy, anyway,
so,
well, can I say one thing?
Good.
So for me, like, if you look up in the dictionary how phenomenal Prince is as a bass player, just go to Little Red Corvette dance mix.
Yeah.
And how the song transforms into something totally different than what you think you're hearing with Little Red Corvette. Go ahead, C. Lee.
So a couple of things. Can you highlight Neil's people think pop stars?
Yes, I can. Give me a second.
Yeah, it's up a bit.
Yeah.
So I love this comment, and I'll just, because there are a couple of things I want to say after this, but I want to say this point. I think that I'm glad that Anil put that in the chat, because I'm the person, I know we've done these thought experiments. I'm not a what if person, but I think it's really important to understand that the term pop is not necessarily a genre. It just specifies the songs that a lot of people are buying right now. And so what happens when we talk about pop music, we actually talk about, I think people talk about pop music like it's an actual genre, like it's blues or rock or funk or country or soul or gospel. Pop in and of itself may have a sound, but it's not a genre. What happens is there are artists who come from other genres whose songs happen to become popular. And so, to Anil's point, I think that a lot of what happens is, and I want to be clear, because I think it takes talent to write a song or to create any art that a lot of people like. I think we shit on somebody for being a pop artist, or I think we shit on, well, this person makes things for the masses. No. Yeah, right. Pop means pop. I think that, no, I want to be clear. As a person who's an artist, as a person who's published poems and published short stories and published books, hey, I ain't never had no mass popular bookseller. So I ain't about to shit on people who have. But I think that, to Anil's point, I think that if people really understood pop as short for popular, they would then get more deep into other people's catalogs to understand that the one song that a lot of people like by that person is rather the be all and end all of who that artist is. And then I want to just say, and then I just want to say, I want to speak the name of a bass player that doesn't get mentioned a lot, but I think had an influence on Prince, because we talk about Bootsy, we talk about Larry Graham. I don't think we talk about Cool from Kool and the Gang. And I think that Cool from Kool and the Gang, and also somebody help me, the bass player of Chick, of Chick. Not now. Now's Rogers' writing partner.
Bernard Edwards.
Bernard Edwards. I think that we don't speak Bernard Edwards' name enough. I would also say that Prof Duff, I was like you when Prince did Piano and a Microphone. I wanted it to be piano and guitar because we had those guitar sets that he would do.
Musicology.
Yeah. So I wanted to be the guitar, piano, and the guitar, and not, I'm sorry, guitar and the microphone, and not piano and microphone. But I was glad we got that. And then finally, to this point about Prince and all the different instruments, I love that somebody talked about the bass in La 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 He He He.
Yes.
And the reason I'm saying is I'm glad that y'all talked about the bass in La La He He He, because it also allows me to say, but don't forget, toward the end, he said, what are you going to do? You just going to play the same thing over and over? Give me that thing. And he plays
destroy it.
Like, so it's like in La 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 He He, you get the best of Prince bass and you get the best of Prince guitar. And it's like you get this whole musical overload that, yes, somebody give grandma a phone and Rover, get your ass somewhere and sit down. All right, I'll sit up.
All right. So Anna B, I know me and Celie, we remember those stamps. Do you remember those? Yes, for sure. The green, they were green in Alabama.
Yeah, they were green stamps. Oh, so for people who don't know those stamps, what you did was you had a book, and every time you purchased something at the grocery store or store, Brother Dean, you got like some stamps, and so you would put the stamps in there, and if you filled up the page, you could get something free. So yeah,
call that a punch card, but I hear you.
Yeah, okay, the punch card. Yeah. So you could fill up the stamps. And then once you fill up the stamps, you could get something free. So yeah, that was it was green. Yeah, that was my thing.
I love this comment from Anil. Anil said Prince said Bernard's name on stage at the Essence Festival when he was playing with Nile Rodgers. The respect was there.
Yes.
I got a shout out. I think it's Duane B, brother from LA. He was doing a live last night and he was talking about pop music and the genres. He was making some great points to say, like, a lot of these genres were created to sort of take away the power or ownership from really was black music styles, but there was a way to sort of introduce these genres as something else. So instead of if it was R&B, well, they didn't want their music to be associated that way. So they would just call it something else, but it was the same. It was R&B, or if it was blues, they call it, rock and roll or something, but it was really just the same black music. And you can almost even kind of go to hip hop now. It's not even really the same hip hop as it was before. It's been sort of changed into something else. And for pop, for that matter, it can be whatever is the dominant music at that time. When I grew up, pop music was Rick Springfield or, some of these other groups. But then by the 90s, pop music became BBD and in New Jack Swing, and all of that music became top 40 all of a sudden, and it switched, and I don't think it's ever went back. And now, rap became pop music, and pop music, they almost call it alternative something else, like to disassociate. Wow, they've got that now. Okay, let's create a different lane, and we'll call it this. Or if it was gospel, it might be gospel for y'all people, but for us, it's called Christian something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was creating these genres to really differentiate certain things, and for control.
Yeah, no, to your point, one of my favorite quotes of all time is Lou Richard said, R&B never meant rhythm and blues, it always meant real black. And so y'all can actually go look that up. You can go find it was, and I love that he said it in an Ebony Jet magazine. So the fact that Lou Richard said that, and it's either in Ebony or Jet, he said, and then secondly, Lou Richard said he wasn't on RCA Victor, he was on Camden. And that RCA created Camden so that Little Richard could be on Camden and Elvis could be exclusively on RCA. And I want to be clear, that wasn't an Elvis thing. I want to be really clear. That wasn't an Elvis thing. That was an RCA thing. And I love, thank y'all for people putting in and putting in. And B.B. King also has the quote. He says that when Elvis was singing Big Boy Corrupt's records, they were blues records. And then one day they were called rock and roll records. So like That's All Right Mama is a Big Boy Corrupt, if I'm not mistaken. That's All Right Mama is a Big Boy Corrupt song. It just went from being a blues song to a Yes, Rich was on Specialty first and then Camden. There we go. He was on Specialty, then Camden. So that when he got signed to RCA, he got signed to Camden rather than being on RCA. Thank you, Sneak. There we go. And Big Mama Jordan doing Hound Dog. There you go.
And I would say, to me, in my mind, the narrative of pop being bad I started to hear that. It was when Michael Jackson decided to say he was the king of pop. Then pop became a problem. But I don't think it was ever really looked down upon until that brother said, you know what, I'm the king of this. And then it's, you don't want to be a pop star. That's not. Because I mean, to me, Michael Jackson, the most popular thing was Going. You could say that was pop, but I don't think that music. I'm not gonna sit here and say Quincy Jones, Off the Wall, and Thriller's necessarily pop. I just think it's high level R&B on a whole another level with some of the best musicians in the world. Like, you're gonna say Rod Temperton is pop to you? Okay.
Yeah.
Like Heatwave wasn't pop, was it?
No, it goes back to your point that what happens is pop becomes whatever is selling the most, but then what happens is that African Americans tended to be the driver of the most popular music. So when we was doing blues, it was blues. When we was doing jazz, it was jazz. When we was doing rock, and then they took over rock, and when they found out how much money they could make with rock, and then that's when it started to shift, right? So that the whole point became, once Black people were creating something, and then I want to be clear, this wasn't because we give the artist crap, but it's really those record companies that's doing this. You know, if anybody want to know, like I did a very long article on revisiting Blue Eyed Soul, and I talked specifically about how Elvis was as much a victim of being the Great White Hope. And Elvis, it wasn't Elvis's plan to be a Great White Hope. In fact, if you watch the '68 comeback special that everybody talks about, Elvis says in that '68 special, he says that everything that's driving American music is rhythm and blues. I don't know what else you want. He says that on national TV. Elvis says that everything that's driving American music is rhythm and blues. But unfortunately, these bean counters, these accountants, they understood that the way race and racism works, it was going to be easier for them to sell Black music through a white face than it was to sell Black music. And it wasn't until you get the hip hop, and hip hop then artists become the dominant people in that form. And props to Eminem, and I'll let you guys know more about
right. So who's the most dominant?
Right. To that. But to your point, we always talk about I just wanted to make the point that pop itself is not necessarily, it's a sound, but it's not a genre. And but it's also a thing of commercialization whereby we know that if you got 5 Black kids from Boston and 5 white kids from Boston, unfortunately, we know which band is gonna sell more. And I'll leave it with that.
All right, so a couple of things, and I'm going back in time. One, an epiphany. I'm glad that Bernard Edwards came up in the conversation because sometimes Prince would call Brown Mark Bernard, and I never understood why until just now. Maybe he was calling Brown Mark Bernard for Bernard Edwards. I don't know. So that was an insight that we got from today's conversation. Another comment I wanted to respond to, because I'm curious how you guys feel about this. So, obviously in real time, there was no software that you could use to isolate. So I would just train my ears. Like I can have a laser focus on one thing because I'm very attentive to detail. I know that there are currently AI tools out there where you can do STEM separation and all that. I haven't done that, even though I could, because I just feel like, I don't know, it's almost blasphemous to do that to a Prince song. Like I'd rather have a real stems, from real instead of doing it through AI. But maybe I'm being silly. I don't know. So I'm curious, Michael Dean, what do you think about that?
What do I think about the instrumentals?
No, about basically taking AI to create stems
Oh,
from like Prince songs
I ain't got no problem with it.
and,
Absolutely.
and can you tell and can you say why?
Because I love Prince music.
Yeah.
That's a simple question. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I never really thought about it, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I have no problem with it.
Okay. All right, because it's a little bit like the conversation that we were having, in my personal opinion, about the bootlegs. And like
Mm,
for me, I never thought that I was hurting Prince because I was paying for everything. Like I went to all the tours, I bought all the music, I bought albums. Sometimes I buy the album, the CD, and the cassette. And then now, so like that. So the it wasn't like I don't know. I don't feel like ethically I was doing anything wrong because, like I said, if Prince would have sold like one thing that I didn't say when we were having the live conversation, I always wish that live shows, and more particularly Prince, would have taken the church model. There was a church that I used to go to in New York. As soon as the church service was over, you could buy the service on cassette,
mm.
literally walking out the door.
Right, right.
I used to do those actually.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
was like, why? I mean, why won't, like musicians do that? They can make so much money,
Yep.
maybe not now, but like
And,
when we were coming up.
and you know who else was famous for doing that? And it may not be the best place to mention it. Minister Farrakhan.
Oh,
Mm,
absolutely.
If you went to see Minister Farrakhan, when you
Mhm.
walked out, the brothers you could buy a bean pie and a tape. Anyway, go ahead.
no, I just thought,
I think with the music though, I think the problem is you're probably likely to have a performance you don't like that night versus a person that's just speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like there's probably cues that might have gotten missed that the audience doesn't. They don't know the difference, but the artist probably he probably cringes when they hear that, right?
Right,
Like we could have did that way much better. Why would I want them to? I don't want to
right,
hear that mistake over and over.
right,
When again, there's probably a lot of live performances that we've heard that have that, but to us, it sounds fantastic. Like we wouldn't know one way or the other.
right.
I think that'd be the big difference, particularly for a guy like Prince, who seemed to be reviewing the concert that night, right after they did it and critiquing people. He'd
yeah,
probably be the less likely wanted to go out that night without him putting, adding stuff to it and things of that nature.
And I would say just probably a little bit different about using those apps. So my grandson plays. He's learning to play the trumpet. So he's ninth grade, learning to play the trumpet. So he has at the end of February, he's going to be playing Lift Every Voice and Sing. We found the charts for him online, but I kept looking for just an isolated trumpet for him to go by, and we couldn't. So what we had to end up doing was the music teacher, he told him download this app called Moises. I think it's Noises with an M, and we were able to find Lift Every Voice and Sing. And so what my grandson was able to do was take out all the other instruments, isolate all the other instruments until he got to the trumpet. So I don't know if that's kind of different than channel like what you were doing, Pratha. But I will say it helped him to be able to hear just the trumpet part played the way that he wanted to play it for that. And that's one where is, y'all know I'm Mr. Anti-sample, Mr. Anti. That's the one where I was go, okay, here's where the technology that I hate so much is going to help my grandson learn this part and play this thing. So I to that point, and this literally just happened 2 days ago when I went like, oh, okay, this is where technology can actually.
How old is your grandson?
He's 14.
See, that's what the interesting thing is, kids, the fact that he's that young and he's up on that, but I guess we were young when we were up on a lot of the technology. Our parents weren't up on either, right? And you see what sort of the outcome of what happened 30 years later when we were into these computers and things and where we are now. That's interesting. That's why I was asking the age. It's interesting that a young kid knows how to do something like that, because I wouldn't even have thought to think like that. Was there something I was going to say? Oh, you know, I think like Atmos, for instance, is another sort of thing. Uh, when I think I was listening to When Doves, not When-
Yes, that's
I
it.
Would Die for You. Well, I Would Die for You, for an example, on the Purple Rain Atmos version. You know, it's sort of pulling up things that I never heard in the song before, like some of the guitar parts that were buried, different vocal things that are around. And to me, that's like it's just bringing out stuff that's in there that you just didn't get to hear before. And I think sometimes a lot of his playing gets lost in the mix.
Hmm.
So that's why I love it. Like I can really hear what he's doing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
but
go ahead, Prab, though.
yeah, I mean, just so like I can't remember. Because I'm looking at the comments too, so I can't remember if Michael or Celie said this, but like I think it was Michael, like, or I don't know, maybe it was Celie, like where we are today because of technology, and more specifically where we are in music, I think is really interesting, and Napster being a really key part of
saying?
that conversation. Napster did a lot of damage, in my personal opinion, to the music industry as a
Right.
whole. And that is actually one of the things that, Prince started preaching, as he should, about the livelihood of musicians and things of that nature. So the reason why I'm bringing up AI and just using it for STEM separation is because Lee sort of speaks to once you, because I sort of talk to my students about this, like, sometimes it can be hard to just use this particular technologies for just one thing, and how it becomes like a slippery slope, and how you start moving that line of, what's quote unquote acceptable and not acceptable, because, you continue to use it. So that's kind of where I am, because like the thing is like, we have like these AI artists now, and I just think
Mhm.
Prince would not be into that, AI artist. I don't know, because he just so into real music by real musicians. He didn't even want to, give his music to Guitar Hero, because he said that kids should learn how to play real instruments. Uh,
Mm.
and so yeah, I don't know.
You
So
know, you just said something interesting, and I'm getting old, so I forget things I'm just about to say. What did you say at the first part you brought up? What was the first thing you were talking about?
but
When
just
you
how, like Napster,
Oh,
basically.
yeah. Yes. Was I was gonna say, I think it's like part Napster, and if particularly from a consumer's point of view, and the instantaneous gratification of getting something and having it immediately. I think on the other side, though, with music, and I know some of my artists can speak to this, I think the reliance on quantization. And what I
Mm,
mean by that is when you're playing something, say you're playing some notes, guitar or keyboard, or even just doing drum thing, and you're recording it digitally. And now these things that we have, you can see the notes on the screen, right? And you might be playing it, but you didn't get it quite right. You're kind of messing up because maybe you're just not really that good at that instrument as you really want to be, or maybe you just don't have the patience to keep trying it over and over. So what cats have been doing for the last 30 some years is they'll just put the piece in there, then they'll go into the computer and hit the quantization. It cleans it up and puts it in the measure and maybe fixes that off note, right? So we've been listening to a lot of music that has been quantized to fit, to be on time, to be perfect. And I think it's a double-edged sword. So you got the consumer one is instant gratification, get what you want anytime. And they're listening to music. And I think that's why when you listen to music and it's like, I just don't feel the same because there's not actually being played, the way like Prince plays his shit. Like he might punch his stuff in and fix up a piece, but it's just him. Where I think most of the time, particularly popular music, you're hearing stuff that has been quantized to perfectly be on time, to perfectly match. And I think that both of the music being sort of computer down a little bit to be perfect and the way that we want to receive it, they just both it just all came together. And I think that's why we are where we're at with it today. There's great music out, but we're so used to hearing it a certain way, plus we're so used to receiving it in a certain way, it's hard to go back to to a time before that.
And I'll say that I will admit that when I'm talking about sampling, I will admit that I'm splitting hairs. Like I'll admit that I'm splitting. So let me give you an example. So when I say, for me, when I say I'm, I know I'm the least hip hop person on the planet, and I'm Mr. Anti-sampling. For me, and I'm going to talk about I'm splitting hairs. So I'm saying this and admitting I'm also splitting hairs. When I'm talking about not being interested in sampling, is when you have taken and copied and paste somebody's existing song. So somebody releases a song and you take something from that song. That's the kind of sampling for me, right? I don't see the same as getting sounds from a drum machine or getting sounds from a keyboard. That's technically sampling, but that's not, for me, sampling somebody's song. But I'm admitting that I get that someone could say to them, that's not a difference. Kind of speaking to what kind of Brother Dean and some people were saying about the technology and what's out there and what people are doing. So I understand that people could see my take on sampling as being hypocritical. I want to admit that I can see where somebody could say, "Oh, so you," but that's just me. Like there was a guy who had a joke. Here's the joke. Somebody said, this was like a late 80s comedian. I wish I remember who the comedian was. He says that this sampling thing has gotten so bad that some guy's gonna walk out and put a tape of John Cougar Mellencamp's latest album out, push play and say, "That's my new album," right? That's that's so that's for me. When I'm saying sampling, I'm saying there's a song that's out and you took, and because I think that the technology is kind of like math and calculators, right? I'm not saying that a mathematician shouldn't use a calculator, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that a mathematician shouldn't use a calculator. I'm saying that I would like for you to be able to work math yourself before you use the calculator. And I guess that's for me that I think that the technology would be better served if the people using the technology could also play an instrument. That's the best way I could. That's the best way I could articulate it. I'll shut up.
That actually goes to that comment you just posted. That was just on the screen about the synthesizers and stuff. If you remember back in the day, when Prince was, the heyday of the, a lot of the cats that I would hear that would talk about, they would criticize it because it's not real horns. Like why are you using these fake ass synthesizers? Right. Why don't you learn how to play the horn? There's always been this argument with technology throughout history, but we just had it's just even more stronger today, but it's the same argument that was back then. Why are you using that drum machine? How come you ain't playing real drums? Don't you know how to play drums?
Right.
But I always say this, or black folks, we gonna freak whatever we got. You know what I'm saying? Right. It don't matter. We'll let you argue about it later. Oh, we don't have access to the instruments? No problem. I got access to this turntable, my mama's records. Watch me create it. Watch us create an empire. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna always do the ill stuff. That's what I feel about this AI. I can't wait to see what my young brothers and sisters is about to do with it. They gonna flip the game as we did back in the 80s and 90s. And I'm gonna love it because that's what we always created, no matter what. We're gonna always feel it, no matter what, too.
Yeah. And I've always said, and it may sound hypocritical, I've always said that the one positive thing that I would say about hip hop was that after the Reagan cuts, right? You have to understand it was Ford, then you had Ford, Carter, and Reagan. But Ford and Reagan basically combined to cut funding to the arts and public education. So when you get the Ford and Reagan educational cuts, they cut funding to the arts. And so African Genius was black people were able to take something that was a music archival unit and turn it into a music production unit, right? Mm-hmm. A record player is an archival unit. So for young black kids that have the genius, the thought, the insight to say, wow, I can take this thing that is to archive music and make it a music production. I will always give hip hop credit, even though I'm not a big sampling person. I have to always say that's an example of African genius, that those young black kids were able to do that, even though I may not be the biggest fan of samples. So I'm glad you made that final
Yeah,
point, brother.
and they made technology conform to them.
Right.
You know, if you go, the MPC just put out a new MPC, just came out like last week. They conformed the technology to fit how we wanted to make music. You know what I'm saying? Like they switched the game up. Oh, they sampling, or they want to be able to do this and do. Well, we need to go where they're at. We drove it. We drive that technology. We just don't leverage. They don't show it that way, but everything you see today, who's hitting today, it comes off the backs of what we've been doing the last few years. And now we're online with it, doing shows like this. We are driving a lot of the culture just through these conversations. Everyone's got their podcast or their live streaming. We done took to this, because I remember when we first started the podcasting back in the day, we wasn't on this. It was all just them folks talking about tech and all that. Now we are here heavy.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if they start coming with some new licensing laws and stuff. Like, you can't just be live streaming unless you pay a certain amount of money to get a license, because now they see how powerful it really is, and you know what I'm saying. So we always, I don't care whatever they come out with. One thing, and you can look at history, we always flourish, no matter what. That's just kind of people that we are, man. You know,
Can you prop up in the listening? If you think it'll fit, could you put the link? I forgot the brothers. Is it Dan Chernus who did the wonderful Prince and the Lindrum presentation?
Oh, yeah.
Can you put that link, since I guess we're having this conversation? For those guys who seen that was the one where I was, again, I am what I am, but it's not, you know how you can hear stuff, Brother Dean, but then you know you can know stuff, but then when you hear it makes you kind of re-second. You know, you gotta
all the time.
Dan Chernus's presentation on Prince with the Lindrum, it wasn't like I didn't know that information. Like for me, I understood how important the 1999 album was to making the Lindrum, but that presentation by Dan Chernus kind of made me go like, whoa, I need to kind of take a step back. So that's a wonderful, thank you. That's a wonderful presentation. All right, I'll shut up.
Yeah, how many cats got in the drum programming here on Prince doing that? It was like, let me learn this.
Yeah, so I'm so happy, Celie, that you mentioned that presentation, because it's not on YouTube, because there's a lot of music in it. And so I had to post it on Vimeo, and it actually hasn't been watched that much. It's really brilliant, first of all. And for those of you who don't know, Dan Chernus is an NYU professor, but he also wrote the definitive J Dilla book. So if you have the J Dilla book with the blue grid dots, that's Dan Chernus. Brilliant. And even more brilliant than the book is if you listen to the audiobook, because he actually recites his own book. It's really, really incredible if you haven't checked out that J Dilla book by Dan Chernus. But this presentation, which was from the Triple Threat Conference, is two parts. Because the first part is about the Lindrum, and then he goes into like deconstructing the Bell of St. Mark, which was like really amazing. So thank you for saying that, Celie.
And one last point to what Brother Sneak is saying. I think people forget the electric guitar is what it is, because when Muddy Waters went to Chicago, you couldn't hear the acoustic guitar. I mean, just the reason the blues got electrified. The blues was not technically an electrified form in the South. It was much more connected to what people would call folk music. It wouldn't be technically folk music, but the blues in the South was much more, would be considered folk. It is when Muddy Waters goes north and a few blues cats before him go north, you just couldn't hear the damn guitar. You couldn't hear the acoustic guitar because of technology, because of iron, because of that clang on clang. So to Sneak's point, that clang on clang, you can't hear all that. So you need to get electrified. So that is another place in which the technology is allowing the artist to be heard in a way. All right, I'll sit up.
All right. So the Dan Chernus presentation is a great way to segue into our upcoming symposium, which I am extremely excited about for several reasons. One, on the Cherry Moon. Two, Parade. Three, it's been a decade since Prince's passing, and we continue to celebrate him. I think it's, I'm I'm really grateful for NYU's continued support, allowing me to do this. Couldn't do it without it. And it will be I Wonder You 40. And it is an amazing flyer designed by Reverend, and it's our first hybrid symposium. And what does that mean? That means that on Friday it's going to be totally virtual, and we're going to be on Zoom events like we have been for the past couple. And the keynotes, if I get them, hopefully I will be on YouTube. And then we will be in person on Saturday and Sunday in Brooklyn at 370 J Street, where we have been the past couple times. And to learn more, you can pre-register and hear about the announcements if you go to I Wonder You 40, 40.substack.com. And then eventually all of the speakers and schedule and whatnot will be posted at iwonderyou.polishsolid.com, which is the symposium website. So there's 2 web presences, so be aware of that. And then I am so grateful that Law is doing a very, very special performance to sort of, commemorate these 10 years. So if you're coming in person, I would highly recommend that you get tickets to support Law. It's going to be Friday, April 17th at the Cutting Room in New York City, which is in Manhattan. We're going to be in Brooklyn, but the show is going to be in Manhattan. It's going to be fantastic. If you haven't seen Law perform, you are in for a treat. And there's so much going on in the world. There's a lot going on with our Purple Fam. So if you don't know, cancer has returned, unfortunately, to Torquois. So please send him kind words, support his GoFundMe. Dr. Flunkenberry cancer battle still continues, unfortunately. So please send him kind words and support him on GoFundMe if you can. Addie is still going through it as well. And Addie was instrumental in the Purple Rain audience production on Clubhouse. Amazing. And also support and give her kind words. And also Des Dickerson has a GoFundMe as well. This is the accompanying playlist. There's a lot in here. Thank you to whoever commented about the Burnt Orchestra's Do You Lie? Because I've never heard of it. I know about the Burnt Orchestra, but I didn't know that they actually did a cover of Do You Lie. So I got to find that as soon as I get off. So thank you for that. And like I said, D68A's Flesh Sessions is also on this list alongside a lot of other stuff. And I continue to miss my dear friend, Ricky. I think about him every day, especially on Saturdays when he would be here with us. So I have a special playlist for him if you want to also listen to Ricky, like I just miss his voice. And with that being said,
before we go to Brother Dean, 2 quick things.
Okay.
Based on our conversation last week, I had a friend from a long time ago who watched it, and his comment was, "Wait, Love and Money not on parade?" He had after all these. I was like, "Nah, man, it ain't on parade." Like he was like he had forgotten that Love and Money wasn't on parade. So we're doing customer service. We're doing PSAs here. We're doing the good work. And then just last part, I like that Brother Saniq was doing kind of like a black guitar lineage. The only thing I would say is that you may want to add, before Chuck gave us Jimmy, Little Richard gave us Jimmy, because Jimmy was in Little Richard's band. So I would say you want to probably shoehorn in Little Richard in that, and because it was really in Little Richard's band where Jimi Hendrix kind of began to flourish, and then Jimmy was also with the Isley. So anyway, that's it. I'll shut up.
So thank you, Anil, for reminding me that Dan's book is being turned into a documentary on Dilla by Joseph Patel and Questlove. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much, Anil. Really, really appreciate that. Nice. All right, Michael, are you going to take us out?
Nice. Yes, man, this show went quick. It felt like I didn't think it was over yet. We had a great show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all in the chat for making it lively for us. Y'all was getting a little spicy in there. I see you, but it's all good. We don't always have to agree, but we keep it respectful, as D'Angelo said. Salute to, always shout out to Ricky. Salute to Ted. Make sure he's out there safe in the world. Seeley, once again, thanks for coming back coming in and joining. The show is not the same. Of course, salute to D'Angela, everything that she's doing. Salute to all the other shows and podcasts out there as well. We love and support all of them. And yo, work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Yeah.
And just really quickly, Anil, because Anil said to put, can we give a shout out to some of the community aid and mutual aid orgs in Minnesota? So I had posted some of these links at the beginning of the show. So Anil, if you know others that I should add, just let me know. But we did it at the beginning, but we can also do it at the end. All right, peace.